You hit your 20th birthday, and suddenly this invisible clock starts ticking in the background of your life. On one side, older people tell you that these are the years to mess around, party, and make mistakes because you're only young ones. On the other side, your phone shows you 23-year-olds, content creators, buying houses and running businesses. It creates this constant underlying anxiety that you are somehow falling behind on a test that nobody gave you the syllabus for. You end up paralyzed by the pressure, trying to make the perfect choice for your career, your relationships, and your future, instead of just making a choice and seeing where it goes. The truth you have to accept early on is that your 20s are not the destination, they are the foundation. You are planting the seeds right now, and if you expect to harvest the fruit immediately, you're just going to spend the next 10 years miserable and disappointed. The biggest mistake you can make with your career right now is chasing a title or a massive paycheck at the expense of actual competence. You shouldn't be looking for your forever job right now out of the gate because honestly, you don't even know who you are yet. Instead, look for environments that force you to build stackable high value skills. Learn how to write a clear email, how to speak to a full room of people without shaking, how to manage a project when things go wrong, and how to work with difficult personalities. The specific industry you start in matters weighs less than the habits you form. If you spend your 20s avoiding friction and looking for the easiest path, you'll arrive at 30 with a resume full of average experience and no leverage. Treat these years like an apprenticeship for the rest of your life, where your primary currency isn't money, it's capability. You're also going to watch your social circle shrink rapidly over the next few years, and at first it's going to feel like a failure. In school, your friends were chosen for you by default because you sat in the same classroom or lived in the same dorms. Once you enter the real world, that proximity buffer disappears. If you don't actively put effort into maintaining a friendship, it dies a natural death. You'll start to realize that a lot of the people you called your best friends were actually just people you drank with on weekends. Let those connections go without bitterness. Having two or three friends who will actually show up for you when your life falls apart is worth infinitely more than 100 acquaintances you only interact with through a screen. Stop wasting your limited time and energy trying to stay relevant in social circles that don't actually care about who you are becoming. We also need to talk about the physical and financial bill that arrives in your late 20s. When you're 21, your body is incredibly forgiving. You can eat garbage, sleep 4 hours a night, and drink all weekend without your life falling apart. But somewhere around 26, the warranty expires. The habits you build in your early 20s lay down the tracks for your health for the next 40 years. The same logic applies to your bank account. You don't need to live like a monk or skip every fun trip with your friends, but blowing your entire paycheck on clothes you don't need or bar tabs just to impress people you don't even like is financial sabotage. Learning to automate a tiny savings goal and taking care of your teeth, your joints, and your sleep right now isn't boring. It's how you prevent a massive painful crisis later on. Dating in your 20s is its own kind of minefield because our culture treats people like swipeable, disposable commodities. You can waste years chasing toxic, high drama relationships because the chaos gets confused for passion, or you can dump great people over minor flaws because you're convinced a better option is just one stroll away. Use these years to figure out what you actually value in a partner when the initial infatuation fades. Look for things like reliability, emotional maturity, and shared values rather than a specific look or a cool vibe. More importantly, focus on becoming the kind of person you are trying to attract. If you want a partner who is secure, disciplined, and kind, but you are currently chaotic, lazy, and bitter, you're never going to build anything that lasts. The paradox of this decade is that while you feel like the stakes are life or death, your 20s are actually the lowest stakes environment you will ever have. You likely don't have a mortgage, a spouse, or children relying on your paycheck to survive. This is the only time in your life where the cost of failure is incredibly cheap. If you try to start a business and it goes under, if you move to a new city and hate it, or if you completely switch career path at 25, you can just pack a bag and start over. The real danger isn't making a mistake, it's playing it so incredibly safe out of fear of looking stupid that you wake up at 30 with a life defined by mediocrity and regret. Did they calculate the risk now while you still have the time to recover from them? There is no grand opening ceremony for adulthood. You don't wake up on your 30th birthday with a certificate that suddenly makes you feel secure and figured out. The life you have in your 30s is just the compounded result of the small, boring choices you make on a random Tuesday afternoon right now. Stop treating the present moment like a cheap waiting room for a perfect future that doesn't exist. Put your phone in another room, accept the awkwardness of being a beginner, and start building a mind and a life that you actually respect when nobody else is watching.